Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 10 of the Big Businesses Fantasy Football Podcast.
10?
Episode 10, brother.
Holy moly.
Yeah, your weekly fantasy fix for
2.5 months worth of content.
Football news.
That's 10 episodes.
You're busting me up.
I know.
10 and a half. We're keeping it. This is the one we're taking. Episode 10, baby. And this one's jam-packed. It's got a lot of good information here. We're coming into a really heavy week in the NFL. A lot of playoff implications happening. There's a lot of good information to talk about, but we have a very special introduction.
Right. So, above and beyond all the stuff that we talk about every week.
Yeah.
I like to do some stuff outside the box, throw some darts really out to society and see what connects. But
yeah.
I reached out to a special somebody.
A very good friend of the show.
Yeah. A staple to the show,
yes.
I would say. You all know him. You all know him very well. We've talked about him many times. And he must like what he sees because I got this email a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And yeah. So this going forward, it has to be the intro of our show.
It's got to be a big part of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because again, staple of our show. So
there's no question. So without further ado, how about you?
Nice
We just
friendly message.
We just roll the tape. 3,
2, 1,
go.
Hey, this is Brandon Aubrey, kicker for the Dallas Cowboys, and you're watching Big Biz Fantasy Football Podcast, the home of Aubrey Gate.
Aubrey Gate.
That's our boy right there. So thank you to Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah, friend of the show. He loves
good
it.
friend. Yeah, and we appreciate the support, right? Of course.
Yeah.
So,
you know what? League's best kicker. At least up there.
Oh yeah.
Wins.
No, he's the best, and now we like him even more. Right?
He has a $110 contract.
The greatest jury duty man of all time, and
he's
kicker,
a civil servant. Kicker. Civil servant to the max. But big thank you to Brandon Aubrey and the whole Dallas Cowboys team for obviously loving this show.
We appreciate the plug for the show, and
Jerry Jones still hasn't reached out, but we'll chat.
Yeah.
I'll just have to.
Well, that's next. I don't even know if I want Jerry, but I'm loving Brandon. So.
Yeah. Well, Jerry's gonna show up in the shower room anyway and talk about dongs. So that's it. Not much talk.
Yeah, you will. Those games, boy.
So Brandon Aubrey, what a freaking special thing. That's amazing.
Right?
It's amazing to have. And you're going to see that probably a lot on this podcast, is it's going to be the intro going forward.
What do you think Snorlax is doing right now?
Oh, he's just
Yeah.
so excited. Snorlax. So that's not our sponsor. Now. That's just an introduction. Let's get into today's sponsor. And today's sponsor is a special one.
I like this one, too.
We have a good sponsor this week. It's actually an energy drink. And folks, I'm just going to read off the tile here because they wanted me to read off the tile. So today's show is brought to you by Endurance Unleashed. So are you tired of running out of steam before the big play? It's time to step up your game with Endurance Unleashed, the energy drink that keeps athletes like Anthony Richardson on the field and off the sidelines. Packed with electrolytes and natural caffeine, it's like a power-up for your performance. Seriously, one sip and you'll feel ready to outrun your excuses. Head over to EnduranceUnleashed.com and use the postal code, or just the actual code, podcast20 for 20% off your first order. Remember, don't take yourself out of the game. Unleash your energy and keep the momentum going, because nobody wants to be the one saying, I could have made that play if I only had a little more fuel. So welcome Endurance Unleashed to the Big Businesses.
I love that. That was a great one. That was good.
Two big ones here.
Yeah.
Two big ones. We had obviously, Aubrey is a big one, and Endurance Unleashed.
I can't stop thinking about Brandon Aubrey, but that was a good sponsor.
Yeah, it's a good sponsorship.
Hopefully he starts actually using that for himself.
Yeah, he might get called into a game at some point.
He'll have time to practice drinking his energy drink from the bench. But,
and if anybody has drafted on their league, and if it's not a dynasty league or it's not something, just you drop him at this point.
Yeah,
drop him. He's gone.
I drink the same energy drink, but I drink it before I go to bed at night. So sleep well before work. So.
It also substitutes as a sleeping pill. Mm-hmm. Just if you want to get tired. So kind of both. Get both. But let's jump into the league recap this week.
Here we go.
So jump in there, brother.
So our league, again, we've mentioned the last previous weeks, it just keeps tightening up every week. There's only a few teams that are truly kind of out of it, but tight like a Twigger. Right? So first through fifth is all 5-3. Mm-hmm. Sixth through ninth is 4-4. So literally within a game of each other, the top 9 spots are up for grabs.
Is that how numbers work?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Carry the 2. Yeah. So It's a very close league. It's gonna be interesting to see how the second half develops and who ends up where. But
yeah, and this league in particular runs off point differential.
Yep.
Right. So it's not just
so the tiebreaker will go to total
it's
points on the year.
Yep. And it's
so
with it being a standard league, there's obviously not PPR into this
right.
one. So the numbers, your weekly totals aren't as gaudy as some of the PPR leagues. So our point differentials are really tight as well. It's not just the 4s and 4s and 5 and 3s.
I like where I'm in sixth place. I'm 4 and 4, but I like where I'm sitting points wise.
Yeah.
So I think I'm second or third in the league in total points. So I fully expect that when my team starts actually winning, I'll start leapfrogging some of these spots.
I think our whole division is pretty much in playoff contention at the moment.
Yeah, I think we're
it's a tough division.
So you're 4 and 4, I'm 4 and 4. And the acronym is 5 and 3.
Yeah.
So yeah,
5 and 3.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the second half of the season pans out.
Big week this week. I got it started off really nice last night.
Yeah, you got a good one.
We'll talk about that in a few. But last week you got downed by Puka McGowan.
So fucking
the muscle bound wonder.
So you know what I think it just chalks up to, right? He watched
you having a bad team. Yeah.
No. Well. No.
You have a good team.
So last week we had a nice sponsor. It was Puka's gym, right? The gold level gym. I think Puka watched last week's episode and took the advice to heart. Because what was the last thing we said in that ad? Championships aren't won in the weight room; they're won on the waiver wire. So what does this guy do?
Bo Nix
throws
in Bo Nix
3:30, like half an hour before the afternoon games start. And I go to check our matchup, and I'm just like, whoa, what's Bo Nix doing? And he's playing Carolina. Like what is happening right now?
Brilliant move.
I was prepping mentally all week for like a Geno Smith like goose egg, right? Yeah. I knew Geno was gonna have a bad game, but I was jacked when I saw him in his lineup.
And if Bo Nix is available in your league, he's definitely worth a bench spot. If not, probably a starting spot.
So I don't.
It's his legs. He's doing it with the legs.
So goes without saying, 26 points in the first half, and I'm like, oh fuck me, this is happening again, right? And so ended up being the difference in our matchup. If he would have started Geno, I would have won. But it's not often I like lose to somebody who actually makes like a move, like a fantasy, like I'm gonna IQ this one and like and
it really was a good move.
Yeah,
you have a Carolina D that hasn't been great, and Bo Nix he's been getting progressively better.
Do you know that quote? He beats me. It's from Rounders when Matt Damon takes down Teddy KGB at the end.
Yes,
and he's just like he flopped the nut straight. He beat him, right? So that's what Puka did to me. He beats me.
That's John Malkovich.
John Malkovich, yeah, baby. That's such a good movie.
The worst accents ever, but they're always so good.
They're classic, right?
Yeah. So. Yeah, I found him in a weird British show not long ago with the worst British accent. It's terrible. But talk about waiver wire moves. We got to talk about another waiver wire move. If you have the ability to make this trade in your league, if you have Chris Boswell, he's definitely worth more than Malik Neighbors.
Well, yeah, because those were the two guys left in your matchup.
Yes, yeah.
And you were the Boswell owner, so
so I'm sitting there. It's
definitely had the
Monday
end
night.
Of that.
I have like 1 point advantage, and it's Boswell versus Malik Neighbors, Steelers, Giants. Monday nighter. You all saw the game, and I won handedly, and I love it. So is he worth, for real, more than Malik Neighbors? No, he's not. But in that game he was, and I will take it. Thank you very much. Kobe. Yeah.
Beautiful. And who did you beat? I mean, that's the best part, isn't it?
The best part is I beat our very good friend Victoria's Secret. He is now bottom of the league.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to watch the pod anymore. He's pretty much thrown the towel, and he's pretty frustrated.
If you're watching, we appreciate.
We do appreciate.
Because at this point, you're just watching because you're our friend.
Just a friend.
Yeah. And so we appreciate that.
Massive Cowboys fan, so he's upset about real football. And then his fantasy team's doing poorly because he has a ton of injuries.
But if you're a massive Cowboys fan, why would you stop watching a podcast that's plugged by Brandon fucking Aubrey, baby?
The Cowboy. And arguably better than everybody on that team.
No, he's the best player on the Cowboys. Absolutely.
I think he has the most points.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
No, he's absolutely the point leader on that team. So, yeah.
He is. And then, of course, more importantly than anything else, Snorlax loses by 2 points. 2 points. Peace, see you later.
Another nail-biter matchup for him that goes down to a Monday nighter. Yeah. So, he's 4-4.
You can't get away with all of them, okay? You can't get away with all of them. You can't be the Minnesota Vikings of 2023 the entire season. Again.
So why even draft the team? Because I feel like he just shows up on Monday night and flips a coin, and 4-4.
Just flip a coin.
Like it's literally like a 50-50 every single week. So
And let's just hope he keeps doing that
keep up the good work.
because it makes us very happy.
Yes.
Mostly just
Nobody
because
wants
we're
to see
friends.
his team in the playoffs though, too.
Because he always wins.
Yeah, exactly.
And more so just because he always wins, and I'm just tired of it.
And he might have a guy named CMC coming back eventually.
He does, yeah.
If,
He did.
if we
he did
keep
have
him out of the
CMC as
playoff
a pick.
picture, that might really help all of our chances.
Yeah, because if he's rolling and then gets CMC back and CMC starts rolling,
Yeah.
we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We are in trouble.
Big
That's
trouble.
French for danger. Let's head into some game tape. So last night we had Jets versus Texans, the worst possible first half of any football I've
Oh
ever
my
seen.
God, it was painful, and then the fourth
Yeah.
quarter ended up being great. So
Do you know that they took the first half of that football game and they show it in interrogations in Ukraine right now? It's
Well
a
done.
great technique.
Well
like they
done,
give
yeah.
in every
I'll
time.
tell you whatever you want to know.
Just turn the
Do
damn
not
tape
let me
off.
watch CJ Stroud anymore.
No.
right? Yeah.
And we'll get into that in a minute too. So game tape last night, Jets saved their season
Absolutely.
and run from it, baby.
It was
Let's hear
it was looking bad for a while. I actually thought the Jets were going to win this game until the game started, and then I was like, wow,
Also,
again,
they just look terrible.
just bad things just keep happening in this team. So when they had that Corley touchdown, and he drops the ball before he even cried, like. You're watching Deshaun Jackson highlights before the game. Like, I can't even believe stuff like that still happens. Completely nobody around, and he just runs over the goal line and just drops the ball, and he's like, maybe just hold on to the ball for another split second.
Okay,
Right?
best case scenario, you still don't look cool. Like just dropping the ball.
That's
in the
what
end
he's
zone.
going to be known for now.
But like
So-
say he got the touchdown, everything was fine. There was he didn't lose it, and there wasn't. Wow, you dropped the football quickly.
right.
And they did a dance.
Yeah.
There was no
It's like,
positivity.
just go on Dancing with the Stars if
There's
that's what
nothing-
you want to do with your life,
Like,
right?
None of it was slick. Had it even counted.
Right. Like,
But it's his first touchdown. He probably got excited. I'd like to say I get it. Obviously, I don't. 'Cause I'm not a player in the NFL.
Well, I mean, I think from a fantasy perspective, like I remember my first touchdown, right? Like, and I feel like it was me that put that together, right? But,
Well, we are managers.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Ben Johnson.
I don't think there's much of a. So, long story short,
I am Brad Holmes.
but yeah,
I put this team together.
good job.
Thank you.
By the way,
I
yeah.
appreciate that. And we're back.
So basically,
Game tape, baby. Let's hear it.
So basically, the Jets just look like the same old Jets, right?
Sorry, folks. I had forgotten to erase the last podcast off the memory disk. Let's just move forward. Let's get past it.
Do you want to tell them anything else
past
about us? Like, what's your social insurance number? Like, geez, like, they know so much about us now.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways, yeah,
Game tape.
poor camera management skills. All right, so now that we got that
Yes.
elephant out of the room,
This is a big production.
yeah, Brandon's watching. We got to do better, eh? So basically, the Jets look like shit. And then I thought there was the same old Jets. They're
did.
going to lose the game. Houston started scoring, and then it just looked like they were done and over with. And then they flipped a switch, man. And that Garrett Wilson catch, though, I will say, changed the entire game
Yeah.
to the point where it was, to me, that was the nicest touchdown catch of the year. And it probably will be the nicest touchdown catch of the year.
Yeah.
In real time, I'm like, he got in. Like, it looked like he was down. They
was
didn't call a
close.
touchdown first, and then when they reviewed it, it was just his shin
shin.
just got down. But what a catch, eh?
By the hair of his shinny shin.
So I think a wise man once said, when Adams is out there, it's going to open some things up for Garrett, and he's had two. I said a wise man. Oh yeah, I guess I am talking about you. So Wilson's looked great 2 weeks in a row, but that was his best game of the season, and I think it finally ignited something with the Jets team. So
I've said a few times now as well that if you actually watch the game tape, don't just look at the box scores of Aaron Rodgers and that team. Their O-line isn't very good, and that's a very big piece. That's a problem at the moment. It will be going forward. But I said Aaron Rodgers hasn't looked, with the exception of his mobility, he's been pretty accurate.
Yep.
He's been pretty creative. There's been a lot of drop passes. And even in the first half of that game, Devontae Adams had a sure catch that he 99 of 100 times makes.
Yeah, that was weird.
A couple of things that were dropped, some miscommunications, like, his old... His, comedically funny, I'm mad at the world face.
Yeah, he does not give somebody...
It's justifiable at this point. He's like, come on!
It is, but it's also so funny, right? Because you're supposed to, as a leader, right? You're supposed to just... You're supposed to be patient. You're supposed to just be like, it's okay, man, 40, we'll get him on the next one.
I understand, I'm 40.
He's just grown so tired already. It's like 2 wins, and he's just like, everything that doesn't go his way, he just looks like a spoiled little girl who didn't get candy on Halloween.
This game is a turning point, and then I think that they are going to be really, really difficult to beat for the rest of the year.
I fully think everything just kind of switched all in that moment, right?
I do
so Houston ended up missing that like chip shot field goal.
Damn it, Cameo.
Kept in your boy, right? But well, he's not Brandon Aubrey, I'll tell you that.
Because he's not Brandon Aubrey.
But and then just the momentum, the tide completely switched over.
Yeah.
Adams for the win, right? Like the game-winning touchdown, basically to seal the deal.
Just good chemistry. Like that came back. They were smiling and laughing on the.
Right? I'm like, I didn't even know his mouth could go in that direction.
Robert Saleh is like, no.
Yeah, worst nightmare. But where it gets good for them is looking ahead on their schedule. And I know this is going to be bold, but this is my take. Maybe we'll keep record of this, and we'll see if I end up being right. But it's a bold take, but I think looking at their schedule, they got like the Colts, and they've got another matchup coming up. And then they go on bye in 2 weeks. Yeah. I think with this 10-day rest,
let's pull up their schedule.
Some easy matchups coming up. I wouldn't be surprised if this team ends up like 9-8. So that's going to be my call, is that they end up winning 9 games, which would put them at winning 7 out of their last 9 in order to maybe make the playoffs or like actually be in the hunt for that last wild card spot.
Let's see. They got Cardinals.
Cardinals is a winnable game.
Winnable game for them. Colts, winnable game for
winnable. Then they go on bye. They come back Seahawks, refreshed.
And I think their defense takes care of business there. It's gonna be actually that might be a pretty good game to watch right there. The Dolphins, and if Tua's playing in back lockstep,
so that's a toss-up one. Yeah. But again, it's like if you're winning now 3 out of 4 or 4 straight, and then you're going to Miami, you got the confidence. That could happen.
They got Jags, which they could win.
That's winnable.
They got the Rams, which is going to be really
another
tough.
Toss-up type game. But
they got the Bills, which is tough, and the Dolphins again. They got a few division
games. So even if you say they lose to the Bills and they lose 1 out of those 2 to the Dolphins, there's their 2 losses. But I think all the other ones of those games, like I think they can win all of them. So
I think they're winning 4 more games.
That's it.
I just looked at. I was a little.
You put them at about 7 wins. So I think if this team gets hot and they're doing what they kind of just showed in a flash that they could do, I think they could end up 9-8. So
they could.
We'll see.
They could. I think they split with the Dolphins. I think they lose to the Bills late in the season. I think that game's going to mean a lot for both teams.
Oh, for sure.
For both teams.
But I think the fundamental problem is still there, and that's their O-line. So
their O-line's
I think the O-line's going to be rough. So until that surely gets fixed, like they're always going to be in these. Why not? It's a great name. So they're going to be in some battles. That's going to be their Achilles heel, so to speak.
I like it.
So we'll see where they end up. But it was good to watch because I think it's good for football if they're good and make some matchups intriguing.
Didn't Rodgers hurt his Achilles last year?
Yeah, he sure did. So
I know it's Achilles.
How do you feel about the Houston end, real quick?
So the Houston end. Not even a hot take anymore. If you have CJ Stroud, you're dropping him at any point. With Nico Collins banged up, don't know what his timetable is for sure, or what he's going to come back like.
They're saying possibly
next week
or within the next couple of weeks, but until then, right?
To what degree? Joe Mixon's a great piece for them, but he's he can catch a few passes here and there. But when it comes to actually fantasy purposes, CJ is not a huge factor. What he does do is he opens up, obviously when he starts running well, it opens up wide receivers. But unless those wide receivers are playing really well and not injured, you only have basically Tank Dell.
Right.
You have a Dalton Schultz, but past that, he's a good tight end for football purposes, but fantasy purposes for a quarterback, he's not huge for it.
Yeah.
So if you have CJ Stroud, you're not starting him for sure. And last night, I put him on the bench and started Rodgers. Super smart move.
Yeah,
from a smart guy.
Turned out. I got Stroud in my other league, and I benched him. I'm going to play Stafford this week. So it's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
You can't feel confident playing Stroud going forward.
I just cannot.
Until Nico's back, I think Dell and Mixon are the only guys. But
also his accuracy looked terrible.
Different than last year. Maybe defenses have zoned in on what he was doing last year, but last year they were playing free, right?
While they don't have a terrible offensive line, he was pressured quite a bit. but the defensive guys are pretty good. So, I just don't like it. I don't like that whatsoever. And with Diggs being gone for the year, the only person you're really starting, you're going to start Tank Dell. And as you saw last night, didn't get in the end zone. Still gets 12 points in standard. He got 125 yards or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he only had 170 yards of throwing. So basically everything went to Tank.
It looked like it was default yards. Yeah,
and he did great. Sure.
Yeah.
Him and Mixon, the only people on the Colts not the Colts, sorry. The only people in Texans that really matter at the moment.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. So bench, or I'd suggest if you can find like a Bo Nix, you drop him.
Nobody even noticed this. You know what I did?
No.
This week after my big loss? I changed my Joda World name to Boda World, but nobody even noticed.
I didn't notice it.
That was clever, though, eh?
Super clever.
Because Bo Nix fucked me last week, okay? That's why. So, anyways.
Moving on to the news.
Next segment.
Moving on to the news, baby.
All right, so.
Anthony Richardson, our fearless sponsorship leader for Energy
Mr. Energy himself.
Needs to take himself out of the game. Wild.
I'm just tired. You know what? I'm tired. I'm going to leave this pod. Is that how that works, right?
And this has been discussed by every single pundit across the country for the last 72 hours, rest of the week, basically.
Yeah.
What a wild situation to see. I've never seen it. Nobody else. I don't like it. Skill position wise, sure.
It's next gen quarterbacks, eh? Is this what we expect from the next generation of quarterbacks?
No, we
just
don't at
lazy.
All. I expect them to come back hard nosed again, like they used to be. There's some really good quarterbacks out there, and he might have a lot of raw talent. But I heard somebody say too, this isn't my take, but I agree with it. If you are asked by the media after, hey, why'd you come out? Lie. Just lie entirely.
Well, you see, I had this water on my body and I felt really hot. And sweat? What is this?
So salty.
I had to get the hell out of there.
It's salty.
And cool off. Right?
There obviously the center apparently came out, and I heard this and I think I saw it, but the center came out and made a statement like that's not really how we play.
Yeah.
So he's being benched for the year. Joe Flacco's coming back. I think that's a lot better fantasy purposes for the team.
You actually said that on the pod last week as wishful thinking. I didn't think the Colts were bold enough to actually make that move. I thought they would just ride out Richardson, but I am so happy for that franchise that they are actually doing it. Because they can make the playoffs still. I think they're one of those teams that are right in the mix. I think they're like 4-4, 5-4, something like that. Like they don't have a bad record. Flacco's going to give them the best chance to win.
They have a good offensive line.
Yep.
Very good offensive line.
And Jonathan Taylor just got back this week, right? So
they got some offense. Josh Downs is good. They got Pittman. They got
for sure. So and Flacco's going to be able to utilize everybody, right? They're going to be able to compete in these big games and maybe make some noise. So
fantasy-wise, he's a streaming option. If you need a quarterback, I would not hesitate to put Flacco in.
I agree with that.
I would not hesitate. Throw a Flacco in there. If you're like, I don't know what I'm doing with my quarterback right now, throw Flacco.
I'm Josh Downs with that.
Oh, Josh Downs owners.
Yeah, to the
touchdowns,
moon.
baby, touchdowns.
So
yeah, super good for that one. Fantasy purposes, throw in Flacco. I think it's been better for the team. The question in real life, does that make them a Super Bowl contender? I don't think it does.
I don't think so either. But
not with the talent on other teams.
But you get any you get any team in the plaafs. And anything can happen. It's a good season. It's what I mean. That should be. I think it was anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
You're doing a Kevin Garnett.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. No, that was good. That was great.
Thank you. I'm gonna start crying and hold a trophy. So just wild situation everywhere. But that's in the news. Deontay Johnson.
Oh yeah, that was the big trade of the week.
To the Ravens.
Yeah. Well, every week a wide receiver's getting traded. So. The deadline's coming up next week,
Tuesday.
Though, so, yep.
The same day as the presidential election in the United States.
Well, I'll definitely be following the
trade deadline.
Yeah. NFL trumps all. Get it?
Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you there. Jameson Williams, big trouble. And this is something I definitely want to take a minute on here. Okay, Jameson Williams.
We talked about him last week because it was performance enhancement and all that nonsense, right?
We still don't have the disclosure on what actually he took. Or they said it was the minimum amount to get whatever he took. It was the minimum amount that they found traces of to get him suspended.
I think he popped the businesses to get some businesses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, strong bull. Yeah.
It may be.
Maybe. But aside from that, now all of a sudden there's, we got guns now.
Okay, but who in the NFL doesn't have a gun? Anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, right? Yeah, totally.
If Pearsall had a gun, he wouldn't have been shot in the chest. No,
he might have shot himself.
It's not that he had a gun, it's just he didn't have his concealed license.
Right.
So that's the big thing, is he didn't have a concealed license. Could he have made that mistake because he had it registered. It was registered to him. It was properly registered. He just didn't have a concealed license.
Yep.
And every state's a little bit different.
This happened a few weeks ago, though. It's not like this just happened. Yeah. This happened at the beginning of October, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, why is this coming up right now?
Because someone else brought it up, and now it's an internal affairs investigation. So, a couple things about this. If it's an IAA investigation, obviously there's going to be nothing happening for months on it because it's an internal affairs investigation. It takes a long time. The NFL already said it's not going to rule on anything until they come back. So if he gets suspended, it's not going to be this year anyways.
Right.
But everything aside, like, Jameson Williams is a good kid. Like, he's done a lot of positive things in Detroit. Yep. He's young. He's made a couple mistakes.
Yep.
The gambling thing is ridiculous because he was gambling, which was wrong. Like, as far as what the rules say, you're allowed to gamble. You can't do it on an NFL property.
Right.
He was in a training room and he was putting bets on college sports.
So
is what it is.
Would you say
can't do it? Not supposed to do it. He gets like 6 games, or they end up getting down to 4. Takes whatever they're saying, which they haven't disclosed, performance enhancing substance. He went right back and told his coach immediately what happened before he got suspended. So he was with the guys.
That was good. That was his saving grace.
He's like,
right?
Hey guys, like
they already knew
all of these things are happening.
The organization had his back, which was nice to see, right? But
they have some people that right now talking about, oh, should we trade J-Mo? Get him? Not a chance.
No
he
way,
is so important to that team.
That's nonsense.
This is nonsense. So stop with that. That is bullshit.
So
one more game he's done.
Would you say that what he did was kind of equivalent to breaching the community guidelines?
Yes, it would.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm asking from personal experience that some 2 people I know might have had their community guidelines breached and lost their business account on TikTok. So
a little bit of BS.
I'm not bitter, but
let's bridge this in here.
Not all about. Yeah.
We had a TikTok. It was doing actually quite well.
It was doing too well. It was doing too well.
We're out.
Too big, too fast, eh? So
it's literally just clips of this show. And apparently breached community guidelines. So see you later. No longer on TikTok. X, here we come. Elon Musk, shout out to you. He's a friend of the show. X. Like and subscribe. We're going to be on X coming up. No big deal.
Yep. I just have to learn how to use it now. So
so other news, important news. Puka.
Uh-oh.
They need him on that team.
Yeah. They want him on that team.
Another potential injury.
Yep.
Going to be very important for fantasy managers to watch.
So they'll probably be, it's Friday right now as we film this. There'll probably be the Friday afternoon report that comes out. So I'll be interested to see what's going on with him. Could be nothing. He could play, and it could be super serious, and they're not saying anything yet. So
exactly. But he's a very talented kid. Thing is, when he plays, it's the domino effect for everybody. He plays, Cup's better, Kyron Williams is better, Stafford's player. They're all then genuine starting on any fantasy team.
Oh, absolutely. So
if he's out, it's going to affect the value of everybody.
Mm-hmm. Fully agree. Huge. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. As a Puka owner, you're probably just annoyed at this point, right? But
what a talented young man, and he needs to be in that game for those guys to be a lot more relevant.
Yep.
On top of that, the Rams with him look really dangerous.
Yep.
And without him, we're going to see if he doesn't play. But if you have just a Cup, like Cooper Kupp's phenomenal, but he might be
but I mean having that
things going on.
I don't think he will, but I mean again, just having Puka and Cup on the same offense.
He's getting traded in 3 days. He's getting traded by the deadline. Cooper Kupp's done. I'm telling you, this is last weekend in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Well, there's an easy way to find out. We'll find out next week. Tyreek Stevenson.
That was...
We don't usually talk about.
Does he hang out with Anthony Richardson or what?
Probably.
No. I know we don't talk about defensive guys very often, but
because fantasy football. We have defenses, sure, and not individual players.
Yeah.
Especially not secondary like that. One person.
People that do defenses in their league, just a total sidebar. That's for
defensive players.
That's 10-team leagues and defensive players. Those are that's for fucking sailors. I don't know.
Sailors.
Do you get it?
No.
It makes sense in my mind.
Okay.
I just think it was kind of funny. So yeah.
It was actually.
Sissies and sailors, whatever. Yeah.
I gotcha.
It's a men's league here, so.
I get it. But Tyreek Stevenson, he is gonna really regret that.
Yeah. Oh, that one. He's a good player. He doesn't need me to say it.
He's obviously doing that anyways.
Chirping the fans. Hail Mary plays coming out. He runs to it. He got to the play
instant
last
karma.
minute.
Well, he tipped the ball.
Yeah. But it's so it's
really
the definition of football karma.
As the NFC North champions, soon to be Detroit Lions fan, I love it.
Yeah, it's a big loss.
I love
As the Philadelphia Eagles, I hate Washington fan.
You hate it.
Not good.
You hate it.
Yeah.
You
So
hate
now
it.
Washington's like.
But now
they're legit.
the mythology of the Washington team is just
Yeah.
through the
How,
roof.
how funny is it for Dan Snyder? He sells the team, and a year later they're having like a magical
I love it.
season.
Dan
right?
Snyder
after,
is
after all
Dan
these
Snyder's
years.
fine.
Right? Well, whatever. But yeah, he wasn't like the greatest owner.
No.
But it's hilarious. It's just like
It's good.
year after year after year of all these
it's good.
failed attempts, right? And then this happens.
By the way,
But
please bring back the Redskins name. There's a lot of people trying to bring it back. They absolutely should. Let's move on.
ridiculous, but yeah.
Patrick Mahomes leads the league
In what?
in interceptions.
Yeah, he does.
Leads the league in interceptions.
Yeah.
They're still undefeated.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to remain undefeated?
For a while, I don't see them losing
I think they
anytime
lose
soon.
this weekend.
They play Tampa on Monday night, I think
they
this
lose
week.
this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think they lose.
I think they lose 100%.
You want them to lose, but
Oh, there's
I don't
no
think.
question about that.
Yeah,
I
I actually got more stuff about
I
KC
think-
a little bit later in the show.
I think they
so-
lose.
But yeah,
I think they lose this week.
yeah.
That's just my own personal take. But leads the league in interceptions is a very sad situation. Mahomes, obviously a super talented guy. Fans of the show.
Yeah,
know
he's
I don't
like an
love the guy
above
very much.
average quarterback, right? Yeah.
Some guy at my office today was trying to tell me, like, this complete sidebar, that Jared Goff is average at best.
Nice.
We had a conversation.
Is that guy? Could he still walk? Like, is he?
Oh,
he
yeah,
okay?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's a Lions fan.
I'm worried about him.
Super weird.
Oh, okay.
But I'm like, in which metric do you mean? Anyways, he's wrong. He's just wrong. But he doesn't have a football podcast. So.
I think Jared Goff is really good, just maybe not as good as somebody named Jalen Hurts, especially after Jalen Hurts 36 points last week. Not even on our list of anything to talk about, but the Goff Hurts bet's starting to look a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have a Goff Hurts bet with this guy as well.
I'm starting to picture what the grid hat will look
He's not
like
getting
on
that
me,
damn
so,
hat.
yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you.
Yeah,
You know what?
so-
It's Hurts is getting his things, but that's an anomaly game. If you look at the rest of the year. Anomaly.
TBD, my friend.
We have the whole season to look
looking
for.
good, but
Move
yeah.
on to the next thing. Top Guns, baby. We gotta get past through it. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can talk about golf all day, as you.
I can talk about Hurts all day, but yeah, Top
Yeah.
Guns is a great segment. So we did it last week, but we're kind of doing it a little bit differently. Instead of
Yeah.
just talking about the best players in the league,
And this way is better, no question.
this way is way better.
Because we have to at least track what the hell we're saying, and next week we can see if we got it right or not.
Right. So we'll show you guys a couple of names for this week's matchups for each position. So
give her a go.
first, so my take for wide receiver, I love AJ Brown this week against Jacksonville. So if you're the AJ Brown owner, amazing. I think he's going to explode. I think like multiple touchdown game. So he's gonna have one of those
Very
like
possible.
140-yard 2 touchdown games. I actually play the guy who has AJ Brown this week. So as
for
much
you.
as I hate this segment,
That's just you being objectively, honest.
like I just know it's gonna happen.
AJ
but-
Brown's obviously. Some would say, "Oh, it's obvious he's going to do well." No, it's not obvious he's going to do well. He's had a lot of games that were subpar.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year.
no, for
So
sure.
to say he's going to have a massive game,
But
like
I think
that-
this one is going to be like he might be the wide receiver one of the week.
Yeah. So for anybody that's even just doing like the weekly bets where you build a team, he
Yep.
might be a really good person.
Oh, for
to
sure.
tag on that.
Yep.
Same with a guy who had his breakout last week, and it's weird to say because he's obviously an incredibly talented wide receiver.
Took him long enough, but he got it together in the fourth quarter last week.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee. And there's no question. Obviously, he was the number one receiver in the league last year. But you get a big paycheck, and then the guy throwing you footballs seems to have broken every ligament in his
A
body.
lot of money between those two guys.
Just
right?
a lot of money. A lot of money for a team to be so
they
bad.
play Atlanta this week, right?
Play Hot Atlanta.
Hot Atlanta.
And CD is probably going to have a pretty stacked game as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to go in the century mark, no question. And I think he at least gets one tutty, and we'll go from there. But going to 100 yards and a touchdown is, especially if you can lock that in pretty much. And I think he pretty much locked it in this
Yep.
week. I think he's just going to reel off of last week.
Yep. Yeah, I think they found, even though they lost, I think they finally built some momentum at the end of the game. I don't even know if they're going to win per se against Atlanta, but I think for fantasy purposes, their schedule for quarterback and receiver gets a little bit better the next couple of weeks.
A little bit.
So I think they're going to roll that momentum over to this week, and Lamb will be good. But
Yeah, and a little bit of they have garbage time at the end of the game. It's
Yeah.
kind of like
They
already
love
garbage
garbage,
season.
eh?
It's garbage
Yeah.
season for them right
Yeah.
now because they're pretty much done.
it's been 4 or 5 games where they're literally down by 20.
Yeah,
like,
and they come back
in
like,
the facet of
"We
the
look,
game,
we're
yeah.
good." And you're like, "You're good for 12 minutes."
Yeah.
But the one I like a lot.
Yeah, you do this one.
I like this one a lot.
You're
So,
Sutton. I'm not Sutton.
I'm big on Cortland Sutton this week against the Ravens. Now he had that weird donut where he didn't even get a target.
Yep. This is a sneaky one
This is a
because
sneaky one.
You see Baltimore and instantly you're like, it's against
Baltimore's
the Ravens.
so good. But do you know what?
But people
Baltimore
have
lets
been-
points go.
Yep.
And one of the things I personally look for when I'm looking at my players and looking at bench is obviously you're looking at matchups. And anybody who's going against the Ravens is going to be throwing footballs because they are going to be down.
Well, look what Cedric Tillman last week.
Cedric
right
Tillman.
up the middle, caught a long bomb to win the game. So, the Ravens are susceptible to
They
big
really
plays, so.
are. And also, like, the team's going to be down usually pretty quick. They're just going to be throwing footballs for this whole second half.
Right.
Like, there's little running. So, as far as like a Javonte Williams, something like that, like, he might be a tougher one to play this week. Mm-hmm. Just because I think their game script is just going to screw them over.
Yep, I would agree with that too. So
let's go to some running backs. What do you got?
So for running backs, I got James Cook. He was cooking. He was cooking last week. Same type of thing, I think, momentum-wise, right? They're at home. They're playing Miami. It's a division matchup.
Yeah,
he historically crushes Miami. So he's what? He's
Cook brothers. Let's talk about Cook brothers. James Cook, obviously, I agree with you on the Miami. Did you see what his brother was doing on the sidelines before the game?
What was his brother doing?
With Dalvin Cook. Did you see this?
No, actually.
I'm going to show you. I almost want to cut and just show you.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, what was he doing?
There is a video of him drinking a mini bottle before the game. It looked like vodka.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
Even that's what he needs at his old age. He's got to booze up.
Now,
right?
I don't know.
Was it mezcal by any chance?
I don't know if it was alcohol, but even the TV play-by-play, the color commentator was saying like, "Well, it looks like Dalvin's getting ready for the game." Like they made the comment on it.
I love that.
And it's like this little bottle. It fits in his hand. He just sneakily just
like he got in the hotel room.
He unscrews. Yeah,
yeah. He didn't put it back in the fridge after. He took it from the hotel.
So if he was drinking, good on you.
Good for him, man.
Good on you.
Good for him.
But James Cook, Miami, another running back to look for as we get back to the Top Guns.
Yep.
Again, you might want to say this is kind of obvious, but it's genuinely not because it's a two-headed monster. But Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he rolls again. Green Bay has a good defense, but Gibbs is just
he literally hasn't had a bad game, eh? As much as everybody's been praising Monty all year, and Monty's looked amazing,
phenomenal.
Yeah, he's been killing it.
And what a team player! Did you see his contract?
2 weeks ago, I saw a stat for the 20 career games that they had played together, Monty and Gibbs. Monty had 19 touchdowns and Gibbs has 16 touchdowns.
Yeah, 16 or 17, yeah.
That's freaking crazy.
Wow.
So, like, literally Sonic and Knuckles doing it every week. But I think...
Love it.
I'm not saying that Monty's going to have a bad game, right? Because, like, every week it's potential that he gets a touchdown. But I think I kind of saw something in the last game where it looked like it was becoming more Gibbs again, like it did last year, right? The second half of the year, Jahmyr was killing it, right?
He had a slight tweak. So Monty had a slight tweak. And it is definitely game script as well and how they play. Plug in any one of those guys.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter, but I think Gibbs is going to have a big blow-up game.
Yeah, and I think Kenneth Walker is going to have a game against the Rams.
Yep.
The Rams D has been susceptible. They are pretty banged up still. They got some guys back, and they got some coming, but I think Kenneth Walker with the, they obviously have a lot of passing yards in that offense. Geno Smith is leading the league in yards, but they...
Is he?
Yeah. I'm 99% sure.
Wow.
At least he was last week. At least he was last week.
If that's true, I am disgusted for football, right?
Yeah, and as you talk to the next guy, I'm going to pull it up. But yeah, so I think Kenneth Walker...
So Geno Smith leads the league in passing yards.
Yeah.
But he gets benched in fantasy football for Bo Nix, and then I lose because of it. Like, it all just doesn't make sense to me. I'm even more mad now.
The red zone offense hasn't been as effective, but I think Kenneth Walker's going to have a big game against the Rams.
DK might be out too, right? So they might lean on Walker more this week too.
Yeah.
So
start off with the tight ends there.
So one guy that you actually called a couple weeks ago. Cade Otton. He's been fantastic. So he has been the biggest beneficiary from the Mike Evans and Godwin injuries. Baker's numbers have still been there. Cade Otton has been catching like crazy. That is crazy that Geno Smith is leading. What a roster of guys, eh? Geno and Baker, like just leading the league in passing yards.
Yeah.
That is so gross. I didn't even know that. That's so gross. Disgusting.
Really
anyway, so Otton, fire him up every week. I think he's
Jalen Hurts is like number 16.
Well, we're talking about passing yards.
Sorry, I just wanted to remind you.
We're not talking about sheer dominance, right? Is there a sheer dominance stat?
Yeah, that goes to Jared Goff. It's called the QB rating.
That grid hat. I'm gonna pose naked in it. So, anyways, so Cade Otton's great. Fire him up. They play the Chiefs Monday night. So I think they're going to be down. I think they're going to be down big, to be honest with you. So I think there's going to be a lot of passing. Game script's going to favor him really good. So I think he's going to get a lot of catches, a lot of passing yards.
Yep.
Possibly a touchdown. I got to do the next guy too, if you don't mind.
But I completely agree with you, K. Dot, and I think he's going to be fantastic.
So this is a total flyer. He does it once a year. He just shows up. Right? He's like Christmas. He shows up at Christmas time, and you're just like, oh, all right. I love this morning, right?
Yes.
Taysom Hill. I think this is the Taysom Hill game that you get once a year.
He's coming in, baby.
So he is a glorified running back in a tight end spot for fantasy football, and he plays Carolina this week. So I really, really, really hope that he puts something together and gets a call. It's one of those games where he has
his utility
a passing touchdown, two rushing touchdowns,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, catching passes like. So I really hope it happens, and I'll tell you why. Because I signed him in week 2 because I have George Kittle, and I checked George Kittle's bye in week 2 that he was off week 9. So I looked up matchups for week 9 in week 2 and saw Taysom Hill was playing Carolina.
Smart play.
I've been hoarding this guy on my bench, and he's been hurt all year too. In and out of my IR spot, just driving me crazy for signing guys and stuff like that. 7 weeks I've been waiting for this matchup. So
he's gonna lay a
it together,
super
right?
goose egg.
Yeah.
Some guy coming back from injuries.
Yep.
T.J. Hawkinson. So Hawkins, obviously, Vikings. Vikings, have an excellent offense. I think the only thing he's going to bring is just positivity.
Yep.
If he stays healthy, he can have a pretty good year.
So you want to start him because he brings positivity?
No, I mean my positive is like he's positive for the offense, not because he's happy-go-lucky.
I just thought that was kind of funny.
I know. You're absolutely right. I should have said.
Trolling.
T.J. Hawkins is back. They're playing the Colts.
Yep.
He's going to have a game.
So the Colts have been susceptible to tight ends all year. So
yeah.
So it could be a sneaky play if you've got a guy like Kittle and you've got bye weeks to fill out.
But he's not in game shape yet, so I just don't really know.
Yeah.
But he could be a flyer out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's on somebody's team. If he's not, I grab him off the waiver wire. You might not start him this week. You might want to put him in the bench depending on who you have. But if you have nobody to play, for sure play.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see what happens with him. Get us to quarterbacks.
Go for it.
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels.
Division matchup.
Against the Giants.
Yep.
There's no question. You're
the Giants suck, and he's a weekly
Revelation.
starter. He's been so good. Hasn't slowed down. Even in the Bears game, he did look great. It was all field goals. And then his numbers got a little bit better with that last miracle play to Noah Brown, but I fully expect that was his bad game, and this is the bounce back week for him too. So I think they're gonna roll.
He was playing injured.
Yeah,
it's gonna obviously hinder him, the young fella. But I expect him to be obviously 1 week healthier. He's playing against the Giants, and it's gonna be a good game anyways. Giants always play a little bit better, but against a divisional opponent, but they're still gonna get crushed this week.
Fire him up,
and I'm getting this.
This is your boy too, so you got to take it.
Start Joe Flacco this week, friends. If you can get somebody, if you need a quarterback, start Joe Flacco. I think he's going to have a game against the Vikings.
Yep.
I think they have a decent enough wide receiver room. They have a pretty solid wide receiver room. They have obviously Taylor's back playing.
That's going to simplify everything too.
Simplify everything and
make him even better.
Joe Cool, in his late years right now,
that name. Something about that name.
He just throws everything to the wind. Like he's just like, let's go for the deep ball. Let's go. And he's just
so
calm,
poised, man.
He's poised in the pocket. He's not gonna get ruffled by nothing.
Yep.
And I think he's gonna put up, in a standard format, 20 to 24 points. So I think
it's nice to see him play like a full game week to week with a team, right? It's not like, hey, we're down by 10, desperation move, we throw in Flacco, and then he makes a game of it. Like Agreed. He's always poised in the fourth, but Vikings is a good matchup for him. So
and you get the last guy.
I totally get the last guy. This is gonna piss him off.
It doesn't piss me off. It's just he's overrated.
He was kind of trending a little bit last week, so we've given him nothing but hate and deservingly nothing but hate all year.
Justifiably.
But Patrick Mahomes last week had over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Over 200 yards.
Wow.
The MVP candidate.
And 2 touchdowns, which was,
oh my God.
like a quarter of the touchdowns that he's had on the season all in 1 week.
Yeah.
So
in respect, Jared Goff had 130 yards something, and he had 3 touchdowns.
So we know, right? But I think from what I saw, like even with Hopkins being there, I think it was drawing a little bit of attention. He played 31 snaps, so it wasn't like a game breaker or anything like that. He had a couple catches.
And Kareem Hunt has been better than I thought he was going to be.
Hunt's been amazing, but for the first time, you saw the Kelsey connection. Kelsey had a ton of catches. It looked kind of like it was starting to roll a little bit. They're on Monday night football. They're home. They're against Tampa, whose secondary isn't that great.
Banged up.
I can kind of see it happening, and I think a blind mother might be getting a football game ball in that game. So, do we see the blind mother, the Clorox mother this week? I think we do. I think we do. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to get a touchdown. Yeah. I think Mahomes is going to have 2 or 3 touchdowns.
I think he gets 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
I think this is
that's a crazy stat line.
Well, he might have a couple picks. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but his fantasy points will be there this week. So for all the people that have probably given up on him at this point, there's a lot of people that are probably going to bench him this week too, and just thinking, "Oh, Mahomes has been so disappointing."
This would be the time I wouldn't bench him,
right?
If you have him, but
so that's the purpose of this is just to give you some confidence again, right? Start him up, Rizzy. Start him. Don't worry, you'll be fine. You have 2 wins. You're in 11th. It's okay. Just start Mahomes. Wait for you to sit down.
Bam.
And the good, the bad. And the ugly. This is Brandon's favorite segment, I think.
Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Obviously, we've been doing this since almost day 1.
Yeah.
Let's just roll through a few things that's been rocking. We already kind of talked about JT's return, but this is going to be good. He had a good week last week.
Yeah.
And
he's really good at football. And he's back, and he gets 20 points a week in fantasy. People forget him. They always forget about him because if you don't own him, you don't realize that he is getting it done every week, right?
He is. He's a workhorse.
So fire him up. He's back in the lineup. It's going to help everybody.
One of the last really workhorse backs.
Yeah.
When he's healthy. He's,
for sure.
He's great. He's a great start.
Yep.
Raheem Mostert and A-Chain. The A-Chain.
So
that combo has been...
Mostert is a guy that I am super high on because it's finally like Miami's back together.
Yeah.
Tua's back. Even though they lost the game, which they shouldn't have lost the game, but even though they lost the game, they were rolling the way that they did last year. Yeah. Mostert had 19 touchdowns last year, and people forget about it, right? They just think he's a glorified handcuff to the man they call H-An.
Yeah, and H-An is phenomenal. Yeah, Mostert had...
He's great, but H-An had a touchdown. He had like 23 fantasy points, I think, last week. But Mostert had 2 touchdowns. But
none of this happens without Tua.
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole thing works, and they've got good matchups coming up. Their offense is back together. I know they only have 2 wins, so that might be tricky, but Mostert's a guy I'm excited about. You can buy him on the cheap. For sure. I did buy him on the cheap, so maybe that's why I'm being biased right now. But Mostert's good going forward, right? So if he's like a guy you want to sneak into your flex spot, like he's just touchdown dependent, but he got 19 of them last year, and then this was the first time he had the opportunity to play with Tua again the way that they did last year, and he had 2 touchdowns.
We're going to bye week season, which we're in now.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. This is where you can actually fire him up.
That's a confident substitute right there.
Yep.
DeAndre Swift, as much as we, I don't hate to say it, but I kind of hate to say it, because we talked so poorly about him for like the first few weeks, but he deserves to get a little bit of love because last few weeks he has been lights out.
He's had four banger games in a row, and he has been game breaking some
no
runs,
question.
right? So,
no question. I think he listens to the pod and he got upset.
Yeah. Probably, right? Does he hang out with Brandon Aubrey, or are they just watching the pod together?
They just watch them together, yeah.
So, 4 really good games in a row, and not many things surprised me in fantasy. I just completely off my radar. Like, I would have never touched DeAndre Swift in a draft.
I wasn't going to either, to be honest.
So, yeah.
I was really suspect with the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs, sorry, the Bears, the whole team, to be honest.
Yeah. So there's certain guys that you see them, somebody else draft them, and you're like, oh, their team sucks. They got Swift and some other guy.
Yeah, he's not a guy I saw and I was like, oh my god, DeAndre Swift.
But
even right now, I should, but I still don't have that feeling.
You still have that element of, and there's no reason for it. To be honest.
No, he's shown the last 4 weeks.
He's in a new spot with Chicago, and he's thriving. And and I'm still kind of
even last year he was doing well. He did well in Philly.
Yeah. Well, he just didn't get touchdowns, but I don't know. He was better than expected in Philly, but this is a whole new
push touchdowns were there. Like he had no time to get from him. He'd take it down the 1 yard line, then they just give it to Hurts.
But no, he looks good. So out of respect for him, we gotta give
him some love. Lad McConkey, my boy. I don't know why he is, but he is. Because he watched the show.
He's like, when you just draft a guy and then it's like, it's his first year in the NFL.
I just love his name.
So all of a sudden he's like, he's mine. That was my guy.
Give me a Lad McConkey.
He could be when I think of him, I think of you drafting him because you have him in multiple leagues, right?
I like the kid.
And so even next year, if he's on somebody else's team, I'm going to be like, that's Iceman's guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I identify
I see the
Lad
talent
with you, right?
I see the talent. And with if you're on a team that had a lot more wide receiver depth, he'd be less relevant right now.
Yeah.
But Dynasty, he's obviously going to be super big in. But right now, he's super relevant.
Yep.
Because they need that wide receiver. And he's getting 8 to 10 targets a game right now. last couple weeks.
Yep.
And the first time he really had that heavy workload, it maybe was a little bit much for him. Obviously, he's a rookie, so he's going to need some breaking in.
Yep.
Last week, he was fantastic, and I expect that to continue.
I think it will. I think what you saw last week with 111 yards, and it's the first time, and it might have taken some time, right? Because the Chargers are like a growing.
They're working it out.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to take them a couple of years before they're actually legitimate, but like the pieces are there, and it's
he's got a great quarterback.
So this was and Herbert's great. People forget because he's been banged up and bad for so long. But last week was the first time you could actually look at him and say that's your wide receiver one.
Exactly.
And going forward, he would be a guy to buy low on because I think he's going to be.
If you have 3 wide receivers in your league, you're starting him in your wide receiver 3 spot.
Yeah, I would be comfortable with him as a wide receiver 3
or a flex spot, something like that.
Yep.
I think depending on your team, he's going to be a good start. I think he's going to be getting on average 70 yards a game going forward.
He gave me Cup vibes, eh? Like
he does give you Cup vibes.
Yeah, a little bit of Cooper Cup. So
and you see him against the ball, he like fights for those yards. Like he's going to be good. He's going to be good going forward. And he's got to give him a little bit of love for this guy at the end.
Yeah, this guy had to work his ass off to get back to our good list.
He's not on my good list yet.
Well,
I think he's touchdown dependent. Right now, he's on our good list.
Yep.
For this week, but you wanted him on there.
Mark Andrews. You got to throw love to some of these guys, right? So he's been good. He's been good over the last month. He's getting touchdowns.
He has.
Maybe he was just had a slow
start
to the season.
Maybe
who knows, right?
Didn't really disclose to everybody, but
he's starting to look like the Mark Andrews of last year. Last year, he just caught touchdowns.
He's got glimpses for sure. And it's I'd like to say it's good to see, but I think since there's such a strong team in the AFC, I don't like seeing it.
Yeah.
From a fan's perspective, who is going to be going against them, hopefully in the finals.
Yep.
But no, he's on the good list for a reason, and he's getting touchdowns again, and he's again a good target for a team that just is going to have a great run at the Super Bowl this year. Yep. So super important. I think he's going to continue to grow, continue to play well. And so
I think the all the panickers out there, I think you can still play him. You're good now.
I think you should spend all of your free agency bid on Isaiah Likely.
Right, because you're likely going to drop him by now, right?
Yeah,
he's likely in the free agent pool, so.
And he's likely going to stay there. Let's go on some bad peeps. Not bad, but just the situations. We got T. Higgins, who has again doubtful this week. So
he missed last week. That's doubtful again.
That's rough.
I think he has the same hamstring doctor. Well, and he might be he's on the block too, is what we're hearing. But he might have the same hamstring doctor as Will Fuller, if anybody remembers Will Fuller.
Will Fuller V?
Yeah, Will Fuller V. IV.
Will Fuller
he needed IV. Maybe Higgins needs IV for his legs. So I don't know what it is about this guy. He fools me every time. He gets back to work. He gets healthy.
Yeah.
He looks great. He's probably the best wide receiver too you could have, like across from a Chase, right? And then he gets hurt. And then it's like, oh, here we go again with the questionable tags, and he's going to play hurt and get a goose egg and play the first quarter, or he's going to miss time. And
is this a contract year for him?
It is. It's a contract year. He's going to get paid, but he's not going to get paid by Cincy. So he's going to get paid somewhere else. The rumor right now is that New England is trying to work a trade before Tuesday for him.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. I wonder
if careers go to die.
I wonder if he has the same injury as Devontae Adams right now, and he just wants.
Maybe he just wants out. I don't know.
It's possible,
but maybe he's wanted out a lot then over the last couple of years because this guy is consistently banged up, and it tricks me every time.
It does because I have him. And
you are now on my bad list again.
So
you're a good football player. Your hammies are bad. So
see, you say Tampa Bay is trending downwards.
Yes.
I say they're fighting through injuries. It just is what it is.
For sure. They got to hope that by week 11, Evans is actually back after their bye week, right? Because if he does, it keeps them... Because right now, these next couple of games, they have a hard schedule. They go into their bye week. If they end up being, 5 or 6 losses, and then they're waiting for Evans, they might be in some trouble because I think Atlanta's going to end up taking that division. Whereas Tampa was fully a shoo-in to win that division. They were rolling. They looked great.
Yep.
I do think they're in trouble right now until they can get healthy. But when they get healthy, it might be too late. So,
yeah, I really can't really disagree on that. There's not much really to say on it. But let's get into Geno Smith in Seattle.
Yeah. So
leading the league in passing
yards, but he's on our bad list. So
he's on our bad list because he's been inaccurate.
He doesn't
the team
pretty.
In general is just like they're. I don't know what it is, and I can talk to some family who are huge fans, and they follow a lot closer. Like, I watch some games and stuff, but Yeah, I just think there's just something missing in Seattle, and I don't know if it's because they have a new coach for the first time, or they have maybe the culture's a little different.
I don't know.
But something's a little bit amiss in the
People
Seattle
were
area.
excited, legitimately excited when they're 3-0. They've lost 5 of 6 games now, right?
Tough.
So yeah,
and gotten beat hard in some of them. Hard.
And DK's hurt. I think he might be out again this week.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett.
We'll find out later.
Another year on Lockett.
Yeah,
time is going to catch up to you at some point.
And
Smith and Jigba is doing well, but he's not.
Last week was the week where it's okay, DK's out. Is this guy going to take over as a 1? And is he going to do a lot? And he didn't do anything. They were very underwhelming.
They really were.
So yeah, they look like a middle of the pack team. They do. As teams get better through the season. Yeah. I think they either stay the same or get a little bit worse, and these teams are going to start leapfrogging them. So 5 to 6 losses.
They're gonna start looking at draft capital. I think. So they might have some trades coming up in this deadline.
That'd be good.
They're gonna need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Because Geno Smith's getting up there. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't like the long term for that team, but for sure.
For another day. You got
the last guy, so
Jordanian.
I think Jordanian. So Jordan Mason. So he missed the last 4 weeks. He's just been toying with people's emotions. Quite frankly, so he's CMC's handcuffs, so then you're expecting he'll slot right in and do what CMC did.
And he did.
He did it for the first couple of weeks.
For a bit.
And it's that bias that you get at the beginning of the season. If a guy blows up in week 1, in your mind you're just thinking, oh, this guy's great. Oh, I got Jordan Mason, I'll just start him, fire him up. Yeah. He's a top 5 guy until CMC comes up. But is he? Because I think what happens with certain guys is Jordan Mason is an undrafted running back for a reason.
Yeah.
He might be fantastic in we need a guy for a couple weeks to fill in for an injury. But now we're seeing we're halfway through the fantasy season, and now we're seeing the wear and tear that takes effect on these guys. Well, it makes you appreciate guys like Derrick Henry who just take a beating all year, but they just dominate because they're built for it.
And as teams start getting game tape on this guy,
they start
really knowing his kind of whole game plan.
Again, he doesn't catch screen passes the way that CMC does. He doesn't grab those chunk yardage, so he's slowly becoming that plotter back. But that AC joint or whatever that he's hurt with, right? So I call him Eddie Guerrero, his backup, right? So
this guy's so good.
Olé! So Eddie Guerrero comes in, right? This guy's fucking fantastic. He looks good. He looks fast, and he was a 4th round rookie, so he looked shit at the beginning of the year. They didn't really want to use him. He might get one carry here and there, or just goose eggs every week. The last couple of weeks,
looking great.
Yeah. So last week he had 14 carries, 85 yards, a touchdown. He looked fast.
A solid week.
And then now it's the bye week, and CMC might be back next week. So if you're a Jordan Mason owner, you're keeping him solely for the fact that he's CMC's handcuff.
Yeah.
But even if CMC doesn't play after the bye, I think he's in the split with Eddie G. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to do a buy committee for them too, and so that just takes his fantasy down to definitely a bad level for the bad. And going forward, unless you have to start him and CMC's not here, he's a 50-50 at the moment.
Yeah, and then if you're Snorlax, it sucks.
It does. So, but see you later, but you have CMC anyway, so you're fine. Going down to the ugly, and then we'll get some final thoughts in.
Sounds good.
The screen pass to Malik Neighbors on Monday Night Football.
The ugliest play of the entire season, right? They built a wall.
Yeah, they built a wall that was about as effective as the United States southern border and let people through. It was porous.
There's 5 guys standing there, and they're like this. And it's the play started. They didn't.
It was the
guy
best.
from Pittsburgh literally just walked around him.
Yeah,
he just literally walked around him and then just hit Neighbors.
It made me so happy watching that.
So humiliating.
It was so
great
good,
as an Eagles fan, but it's so humiliating.
Definitely on the ugly list because that play was. You're going to see that for a few years. There's no questions. And
you thought that we weren't going to mention you on this pod, right?
Yeah.
But we saved it for the last piece of the ugly list because you know what's ugly?
But you know what? We all make mistakes, okay? And we all, do you ever have the feeling sometimes where you think I have a piece of information that nobody else knows?
Yeah.
Right?
I've got that intel.
I just have some intel, and I'm going to do this, and everyone's going to be what the? And then it just falls flat in your face because you're completely wrong.
Really wrong.
Yeah. So what would that be like?
So I think that would be equivalent to it's Thursday. I want to get a jump start in my matchup.
Yeah.
Who's the backup running back on? Who's probably not going to get any playing time or carries and get less than a point, right?
Yeah.
I can't even say his name. So Dari Obawali.
Bawali.
That was better than what I think I just did right there.
Whatever it is.
Hold on. I'll go down to Bully Wally. I just had a secret.
So gonna get no points.
Gonna get no points.
No points at all. So we had a guy fly him in our league, and that made us very happy as human beings.
I'll throw him some credit. Like through the years, he has had some radio flyers. Right?
He's had some flyers.
His fantasy picture used to be a red wagon that had the radio flyers on it.
Yes,
because he used to plug in some guys, but this was just like
the best.
I just want a story. Like I want to play this guy and say that I like crushed it. And
this would have been the smartest
guy in the room.
The ultimate. Flyer.
The ultimate, but there's a reason
Had
why
it worked.
There's a reason why he's owned in 1% of fantasy football leagues. Yeah. So I don't even know what the percentage is. It's going to be 0% start. So he might have been statistically the only person in the entire world who started this guy on Thursday.
A few moments later.
But that's what's going to happen sometimes. You take a big swing, sometimes you have a big miss. And that was a big
huge miss. Yeah.
So final thoughts, baby.
Final thoughts. So Draft Wizards, I don't even know if you made it this far. I don't know if you're watching anymore.
You're watching.
Yeah?
He's watching.
I hope so. So if you are, then I just want to remind you that Dak Prescott makes more money in 1 quarter of football than Brock Purdy makes in the entire
whole season.
The entire year. So I get it. He's on his rookie deal or whatever, but
he's jonesing.
He's jonesing big time.
Jonesing.
It's a lot of money.
You get $260 million. At least you're going to get 2 wins.
Yeah.
3 wins.
Well, they got 3. But
3 wins?
Yeah.
They don't have
for a while.
They don't have playoff hopes. Ooh. That really hurts.
He's not on the ugly list, but it's a nice thought to leave you guys with. So, what do you think? Week 10 in the books?
Week 10 in the books, baby. Big love to Unleashed Energy and Nate Rich.
Thank you, Brandon Aubrey, for your support. Thank you, Propane Dealers. Thank you, all our family and friends and audience and fans. And fuck you, TikTok.
Fuck you, TikTok.
Yeah.
Past that, let's see. Big week coming up. Let's go Lions, baby. Woo!
All right. And Eagles, but yeah. Happy football, everybody.
Happy football. Oh, Brandon Aubrey's going to love this one.
Yeah. If I know Brandon like I think I do, I think he's going to really like this.